Jelly Roll.
Some relationships become so iconic that people assume they will last forever. For many fans, Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO represented exactly that kind of love story. Together, they overcame addiction, personal hardships, and obstacles that could have torn those couples apart. Their journey inspired countless people who believed their bond was unbreakable. Yet behind the scenes, challenges were quietly unfolding, and a deeply personal chapter of their lives would eventually come to light, changing how many viewed their relationship. On June 15, 2026, news broke that shocked fans across the country. Court documents revealed that the marriage between Jelly Roll, born Jason Bradley DeFord, and Bunnie XO, born Elisa DeFord, had already come to an end. The filing, submitted in Williamson County, Tennessee, on May 18th, cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for the divorce. According to the paperwork, the couple officially separated on May 9th. That date carried special significance because on the very same day, Bunnie was publicly sharing heartfelt family moments online, posting about prom preparations and expressing love for the people closest to her. Whether she knew what was coming or was trying to remain strong despite private struggles remains unknown. What is clear is that this was not a sudden decision. Jelly Roll retained one of Nashville's most respected divorce attorneys, suggesting the process had been carefully considered long before it became public knowledge. In early June, subtle clues began to surface. During a major country music festival appearance, observers noticed that Jelly Roll was no longer wearing his wedding ring. For a man who had proudly displayed his devotion to Bunnie in numerous ways throughout the years, the missing ring spoke volumes without a single word being said. Meanwhile, Bunnie continued presenting herself with strength and confidence. Shortly before the news became public, she shared a post about rediscovering her sparkle and reconnecting with herself. To many followers, the message seemed to hint at deeper emotions hidden beneath the surface. Their story began in Las Vegas during the summer of 2015. At the time, Jelly Roll was far from famous. He was performing small shows, living out of a van, and struggling financially. Bunnie, who was working as a high-end escort, happened to attend one of those performances. By conventional standards, they appeared to have little in common. Even Jelly Roll has joked that neither of them matched the other's typical type. Yet Bunnie has often described feeling an immediate connection when she first saw him, as though she had finally found someone she had been searching for all along. Their friendship developed naturally before becoming romantic. They communicated frequently, shared personal struggles, and supported one another through difficult circumstances. By August 2016, their connection had grown impossible to ignore. During a concert, Jelly Roll proposed in an unfiltered and spontaneous way, asking Bunnie to marry him that very night. She agreed instantly. The pair drove directly to a small Las Vegas chapel and exchanged vows, beginning a life together fueled more by faith and determination than financial security. Their early years were filled with challenges. Just before their wedding, Jelly Roll had welcomed a son from a previous relationship. Bunnie stepped into a complicated family situation and helped raise children who were not biologically hers. She supported his efforts to gain custody of his daughter and embraced motherhood despite limited resources. She even chose sobriety to create a healthier environment for the family. Together, they built a foundation rooted in sacrifice, commitment, and resilience. However, that foundation faced its greatest test in 2018 when Bunnie discovered Jelly Roll had been unfaithful. Reports later suggested the affair lasted for an extended period rather than being a single mistake. The revelation devastated her and nearly ended the marriage. Bunnie eventually returned to Las Vegas, and by most measures, the relationship appeared beyond repair. Years later, Jelly Roll addressed that painful chapter openly. He admitted his mistakes without making excuses and described it as one of the darkest periods of his life. He acknowledged the damage he caused and spoke about the difficult work required to rebuild trust. Rather than shifting blame, he accepted responsibility for his actions. Over time, Bunnie also reflected on the experience, explaining that sometimes a relationship must completely fall apart before it can be rebuilt stronger than before. Still, she admitted that regaining trust took years and that healing from the betrayal was far from easy. As they worked through their difficulties, both experienced tremendous professional growth. Bunnie reinvented herself, launching a highly successful podcast that attracted millions of listeners and established her as a media personality in her own right. No longer simply supporting someone else's dream, she created a thriving career and built a devoted audience of her own. At the same time, Jelly Roll's career skyrocketed. The artist, who once played tiny venues, suddenly became one of the biggest names in country music. Hit songs sold out arenas, industry awards, and a powerful redemption story transformed him into a national star. In 2023, the couple returned to the Las Vegas chapel, where they had first married and renewed their vows, celebrating how far they had come together. Yet success brought new challenges. Jelly Roll spent much of his time touring, while Bunnie continued expanding her own business empire. Their lives grew larger and more independent. The closeness that once came naturally during their struggling years became harder to maintain as each pursued separate ambitions and responsibilities. Throughout their marriage, both emphasized that their relationship did not follow traditional rules. Bunnie often spoke openly about the unconventional nature of their partnership and explained that their definition of commitment differed from what many people expected. For years, that flexibility seemed to strengthen their bond. However, comments Jelly Roll made in interviews during 2025 now appear more meaningful in hindsight. He suggested that every successful marriage must find its own unique structure and warned against assuming there is a universal formula for lasting relationships. Looking back, some interpret those remarks as reflections of challenges he may have been experiencing in his own marriage. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of their story involves their dream of having a child together. For years, they faced significant fertility struggles. Bunnie spoke candidly about medical complications, personal losses, and the emotional toll of treatments. Despite repeated setbacks, they continued pursuing their goal. In early 2026, they shared hopeful news that they had found a surrogate and were preparing to welcome twins using their own genetic material. After years of heartbreak, the dream finally seemed within reach. That timeline makes the eventual divorce even more difficult for many fans to understand. Publicly, they appeared united, speaking lovingly about their future and expressing gratitude for one another. Yet, only months later, legal documents indicated their marriage had already come to an end. Today, both seem focused on moving forward with dignity and privacy. Those close to them consistently describe the separation as a mutual decision and a private family matter. Jelly Roll has continued touring, while Bunnie has embraced her own personal growth and independence. Although their marriage may have ended, the family they built together and the years they shared remain a significant part of both their lives. What stands out most is the absence of public conflict. There have been no major accusations, social media battles, or dramatic public disputes. Instead, two people who endured poverty, betrayal, fame, and countless personal struggles together appear to have chosen a respectful and peaceful path forward. Their story serves as a reminder that sometimes love changes form, and that ending a relationship with grace can be just as meaningful as the journey that came before it.